season of the calendar to date. And now, after 13 races this season, it's Tempelhof Airport that will host the Season 7 Formula E double-header title decider. And doesn't it look magnificent there? And you can see in the distance the 368-metre tall Alexanderplatz Tower. Here we are, we've got the drivers arriving here this morning. Mitch Evans, Antonio Felix Acosta, reigning champion, giving us a thumbs up. Max Günther also giving us a thumbs up, which is great to see. The Audi boys arriving for the final time this weekend. Lucas di Grassi, Robin Freins there, who's put in a solid performance this season. Oliver Rowland. Norman Nato we've got there. Jean-Eric Verne, not in his team kit. What's he doing this morning? Having a leisurely coffee this morning. Breakfast of champions, I'm sure. Right, let's take a look at our driver leaderboard. Nick de Vries for Mercedes EQ, leading by just 6 points. Robin Freins, his compatriot, on 89 points. Sam Bird and Jake Dennis, joint 81 points, third and fourth in the championship. Antonio Felix Acosta for Diaz Techeetah on 80 points. Now we've got Alexander Lynn, our race winner from London, sitting in 7th. Stoffel van Dorn in 13th, Lucas di Grassi 14th, Maximilian Günther in 15th. But we've got some big names. Sebastian Buemi, a previous champion, is going to be looking to score some extra points this weekend. So let's take a look at how the team standings line up. We've got Envision Virgin Racing 7 points ahead of the German team Mercedes EQ. A big race for 4 of the teams today. Mercedes, BMW, Audi and Porsche, a home race for all of them. Well, alongside me in commentary is 3-time Indy 500 champ Dario Franchitti. Dario, talk us through this track.
So this is day 1 track, the anti-clockwise way. Turn 1, 270 degrees, incredibly tight. Turn 5, little kink out of turn 4 hairpin. Long straight into the attack mode activation zone of 6, very wide entry as well. We see cars going side by side through the kink of 7 and 8. Heavy braking for the hairpin at 9. We've seen carnage there in the past. Same again, a hairpin at 10, but a long curved acceleration out of the turn 10 torches the tyres over the finish line. Very coarse surface here, and that's our battleground for today.
Yes, it is indeed our battleground for today and tomorrow. Can you believe it? This is it. Track temperature at the moment, 25 degrees. Not too humid, 63. It's actually been quite a nice temperature so far. The sun's out. Oh, what, too hot for you yesterday?
It's roasting.
I like the sun. Look, it definitely beats being at Silverstone the other weekend. So Nick de Vries there in the driving seat. He is our current championship leader. So really, the pressure is on him at the moment. But he will be going out in Group 1 in qualifying. So can he extend his lead? That is the big question, isn't it, Dario?
You know, when you see how tight the points battle is further back, that 6-point lead from Nick de Vries, if he can qualify today close to the top 10, he has a chance to vault himself out of reach of the other guys.
Sam Bird there, British racing driver for Jaguar Racing. Third, joint third though, 81 points, him and Jake Dennis. Alexander Lynn, what a determined drive we saw from him in London. I mean, he's always been so driven in Formula E, hasn't he? And it finally came together. His first win at our last race in London.
And he went up from sort of 15th place in the points up to 6th. He's now in championship contention. He had a massive point-scoring weekend as the green flag's about to come out.
But it's going to be very interesting to see what the Mercedes EQ drivers can do this weekend. You know, very big race for them.
Stoffel van Dorn in 13th in the points. He'll go out in Group 3 today. That could play a big part. Stoffel van Dorn tonight could be right back in that championship fight for tomorrow. I think this championship table is going to have a much different look to it tonight. I really do, and I think tomorrow again the pressure is going to be on. But right up until the very last lap, I think. Yeah, I really think it's all going to be on the line. Energy management, tyre management today and tomorrow. Wheel-to-wheel battles. You say it's all to play for. What have we got? 18 drivers right now can still mathematically win the championship. So Yeah, and they've got half an hour's practice now before qualifying. Very early qualifying, earlier race today as well. So hopefully the track temperature won't go up too much.
I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it, that we've got to this point in the season and 18 drivers are still in contention for this championship. You know, we always talk about Formula E being competitive, but this really, it's a season like no other. All the drivers have just really, they've stepped it up a notch, haven't they? Same with the teams. They've just become closer and closer when it comes to that performance. So there really is no margin for error.
Well, I think it comes back to any of the drivers in the field have the talent to win races. Any of them. You know, there's a couple of the teams that are maybe struggling a little bit more at the back. The Neo guys and the Dragon guys, maybe, but Dragon had a double point score at the last race in London. But it's, as you say, Nicky, so competitive. Yesterday, we had 7 cars within a 1/10 of a second in practice. 7, you know, it's nuts.
Well, I think in all of them, we're in a second of each other, which, again, we've never had in a practice session before. OK, well, let's see how Van Dorn is feeling this morning as the sun has risen across this track here at Berlin.
Yeah, that first lap of practice, just getting back into the rhythm of the circuit. The sun is just coming up, and so there's certain directions you're going to be blinded a little bit by that. And then as you go back away from the sun, a bit darker, he's got to deal with that. We see the 2 Jaguar boys, there's Mitch Evans. Go back and stop with Van Dorn now, up to turn 6. They'll be at times practicing attack mode as well, to the outside of the corner here. But Stoffel just taking a normal racing line at this point.
But it does just show how there is, well, Formula E this season has been a roller coaster for so many of the drivers. You know, Stoffel's sitting down 13th at the moment. Had he had that win, that it was looking, you know, it was looking very good, a podium finish for him in London. They had that contact with Roland to drop down to 50.
The Virgins behind them will be pushing next up.
Virgin's pushing the next lap, according to team radio to Mercedes. Yeah, you know, a little bit of contact, and suddenly you're not in the points in London, and you're down in 13th.
Yeah, but I think those stories are true up and down the field. What happens if Sam Bird and Alex Lindo get together in round 1 in Diriyah? That was 2 DNFs for those guys. They're 3rd and 5th in the championship, 3rd and 6th in the championship. Then you've got to look at, I think, Pascal Wehrlein, that win that was taken away from him in Mexico City. Where does that put him? You know, there's so many stories up and down this field. That was just sort of 3 snapshots. There's so many ifs and buts, but you've got to take full advantage of any situation to score points that you're presented with.
So we always use that word, don't we? Consistency. I mean, René Rast is definitely consistent at putting in the fastest lap. That's
yes,
for
he
sure.
is, yeah.
For this season, it's phenomenal. But consistency. I mean, would you say that Nick de Vries has been the most consistent driver? He's leading the championship, but
he's
has
got
he been
4
consistent?
DNFs. He's got 4 DNFs. He's got 3 finishes outside the top 10. So, you know, but that's a lot because he's been in Group 1. It's not. You look at some of the guys, are definitely boom or bust, but then you've got Robin Fried's the guy who in the past we'd said was very inconsistent, but this year he hasn't won a race. He's 2nd in the points, and he's finished every race.
Yeah, I mean, that is consistency, that's for sure. And
Robin,
speaking of which,
what are you going to do? Oh, he's going to touch the. Hang on, is it a super slow-mo? Oh, he's going to hit the wall on the way in.
Oh, just a little brush of baby B sign.
But actually, Nicky, the angle he hit that with, it might have bent the suspension. Yeah, because he caught the wheel. You heard the metal on concrete noise that I kind of know quite well, and that could knock the toes out. So he's going to have to come in the pits and check the car, I would say.
I did actually see him at the end of the session yesterday. He was driving himself home. And he said it was the safest way to get home from the track, driving himself home. And he just said, nah, not feeling it. Car wasn't feeling good yesterday. Really not feeling great and feeling a little bit worried about this weekend. And, well, perhaps that is a bit of a sign that there is a crack there.
No. Honestly, you see the amount of work that the turnaround teams have done. We've had so many double headers this season again. You've seen the change in the running order, first day to second day. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Envision Virgin guys make a big turnaround today. They've got the Audi powertrain in the back of that car too. So yeah, nothing's off the table. It's just, there's no, you cannot predict, I would say, anything here. And it's not being lazy about it, it's just you can't predict what's going to happen. And it's a very difficult thing for the drivers mentally, because a lot of times in your career you go in knowing, we've got a fast car, we've got a good chance of a top 5 finish today or whatever, or winning. these guys don't know. You don't know if they're going to be first today or 20th.
Yeah, Mitch Evans, though, good news for him. He's re-signed a multi-year contract with Jaguar Racing for next year. I mean, that's the other thing we've got to keep in mind. There are a few drivers who are coming into this final race weekend still looking for a seat for next year. So it's not just about championship points today. It's about securing their contract for next year and their future in Formula E.
Absolutely. And the odd thing is, some of the drivers who are in championship contention and racing for the championship are also racing for a job next season.
Do you have that experience? When you know you're racing for a job next year?
Yeah, I used to do one-year deals a lot. And the way...
Because they'd only give you a one-year deal? Or because you prefer to do
No, I mean, I preferred to do them because it gave me freedom. It annoyed my manager a lot because he had to renegotiate every year. But the way I looked at it, if I went well and they wanted to keep me, you could do a better deal for the following season. If they didn't want to keep you, you didn't want to be there anyway. You didn't want to be sort of a lame duck driver. So it worked very well. So that was always the way I did it.
Sebastian Buemi there, just gone quickest of the session. A 1 minute 7.272.
And they sat in the garage, both Nissans, thank you Jack Nicholls, sat in the garage for 3 minutes at the start of the session. So Buemi went straight out and got on it. And Van Dorn's just beaten him at 107 flat. 106.949 was the quickest time yesterday, Jake Dennis. And we have to go down to the 3 decimal points because that's how close it is between the cars.
So we were looking at the track, trying to work out if it's been cleaned from yesterday. There were quite a lot of sort of marbles and rubber on the track, wasn't there? But it doesn't look like there is so much this morning. So will it have been cleaned overnight?
I'd like to have a closer look, especially at turn 7. This is turn 6 with the attack mode on the outside. So I'd like to look at the track here. Difficult to see with the angle of the sun. No, probably not actually. No, they haven't. And the Group 1 drivers are saying, please don't sweep it, because all you're doing is taking the dust particles from the tyres and pushing it onto the line. So we will be at a bigger disadvantage. So they're hoping that Group 1 drivers are hoping that the track is not swept after this session. We see Mitch Evans out of turn 10. Chasing the Nissan down in front of him, the silver and black Nissan. The Nissan guys have had a really tough season.
Yeah, I mean, they started on the back foot, didn't they, with, well, the technical changes they had to make to their car, and then their new powertrain didn't arrive until well midway into the season. And how can you compete when you're starting so far behind?
It's difficult, but you have to look at the people involved, and I think it's a class organisation, isn't it? The DAMS organisation. The Nissan guys know what they're doing too, so yeah, it just shows how fine the tolerances are between getting it absolutely right and not quite, and they've had some pretty bad luck in races too at times.
I know that their progress, I think, for Gen 3 there is coming on really nicely. Speaking to the team about the progress that they're making, and that's the thing, in between races we think, oh, we've got a bit of downtime, but actually no, it's full power, 100% commitment to working on the Gen 3 car.
Yeah, so you've got the Generation 3 development going on, but then also between races the drivers are spending an unbelievable amount of time in the simulator, probably 10 days for this double-header event to prep. And also after the race they do the sort of correlation, make sure that actually what they did in the sim beforehand matched up to what happened on the track. So yeah, a lot of time spent in the sim, as well as you say, as developing the Generation 3 car.
So Lucas Di Grassi there, putting in a lap at the moment. Again, he's actually one of the drivers, unbelievably, who hasn't secured a drive for next year yet. Although there are some pretty concrete rumours.
That's not what I hear.
With maybe a certain Monaco-based team called Venturi.
So Lucas, I've been an Audi driver for a long time, and sadly Audi leaving the championship at the end of this weekend. Lucas said, no, I'm not going to follow Audi as Rennie Rast's teammate is. He said, I want to continue racing in Formula E. So he's been looking around for a drive. I think he's found a good drive. He is, but that's all to be confirmed. I mean, we're all speculating at this point. But he's a past champion. He's a guy that can get it any week, can win the race.
Yeah, and he really does. He lives and breathes Formula E and everything that Formula E stands for, doesn't he? He's involved in so many other projects around green transport. He's got his electric bike company. He's involved in the UN as an ambassador. His mind never stops. Oh, he's such a hard worker, isn't he? Yeah, away from the racetrack as well.
He's got one of those minds that just keeps going. It just all the time he's thinking, and he's got to have outlets for that. We see Nick Cassidy, who is one of the most laid-back drivers I think you'll find. Massively successful in Japan. Had a great rookie season. He's 7th in points as a rookie. He's the second half of the season. It's all just
pole
come
positions
together.
as well. You know,
Unbelievable.
he really has done a phenomenal job. I'm sure Envision Virgin Racing are very happy with that signing.
Yeah, they definitely are, and rightly so. It was a you hear the noise of the Audi powertrain on overrun as he lifts and coasts and then starts to regenerate energy back into the battery. Look how long that turn 1 is. We're still in turn 1. Now we're in 2 and 3. That turn 1 just goes on and just tortures the tyres. Here we come down to turn 4 as we see Alex Lynn. Again, fabulous job in London. That first Formula E win at his home race, I think that meant a massive amount to him.
Just the emotions, you could hear it. Well, I think he was talking to you on the team radio and he could hardly get his words out, which was just
he got a few words
amazing.
out.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't.
We won't mention the few words he did get out. Beep, 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 I think would have been more appropriate.
A massive amount to him, yeah, absolutely.
But it just shows, you know, this is what, his 3rd team in Formula E, Mahindra Racing, and he's been so committed and driven, and he really is. I mean, I know obviously all racing drivers are competitive, aren't they? But I feel like with Alex Lynn, he really is.
He's intense.
So competitive and determined.
Yeah, I think intense is the word I would use. Some of them are more like Nick Cassidy, very laid back. Alex is full attack, and that intensity comes out. Edo Mortara, he's a guy, he looks intense, but he's actually a very kind of chilled out person. All the drivers are away from the track, they're all nice people. It's when they get to the track and that competitive instinct takes over.
So what do you think the relationship would be like between an Edo Mortara and a Lucas Di Grassi then?
I think it'd be absolutely fine. The thing is, you've got Susie with massive experience in racing. You've got Jerome D'Ambrosio there too, so they have...
And they've got a lot of history as well, Lucas and Jerome.
Yeah, but it's a proper team. You know, the way they organise it. You've seen the ramp up in performance. So, yeah, I think they've done a great job. Another team has done a great job. You see Jaguar with Mitch Evans. Where's Mitch at that moment on the time? Is screen 10th.
Yeah, so whilst we're sort of quite focused on the driver's standing, obviously this is a huge moment for the team's championship as well. It's incredibly close. You know, the top 3 teams are split by 9 points, and there's still 60 points per driver up for grabs.
Yeah, the team's championship's all to play for as well. And interestingly, the team's championship is where the prize money comes from. It's based on your finishing position in the team's championship, so very important as well. And there's the bragging rights of the teams, and the manufacturers really want to win that. That's very, very important.
Bragging rights, and don't you get a big paycheck as well?
Absolutely.
That always helps.
Absolutely. That is, you know, very important. Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche, as you said, Nikki, big weekend for them. They've got so much activation, as all the German manufacturers do around the track. I mean, when we come out of turn 6 here, you will see there's a BMW on top of the bridge. BMW i.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, actually. I mean, it's a real car.
Yeah, it's a real car.
Let's just be clear. And they've plonked it on top of this bridge. It's quite spectacular.
Wehrlein, right now, he's in attack mode. So you see the blue halo, the halo's glowing blue. It's an extra 17% power. This is him doing a push lap, as it is known.
But yeah, you were mentioning the sort of the hospitality suites that we should be able to see coming up on the... There we go. Beautiful. On the left or right? Is that our left or their right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But they're really nice. And again, obviously, because they've got so many VIP guests here this weekend, it just shows how important it's going to be for all the German teams, I think, to do a good job here on home soil.
I mean, everybody's under pressure, right? Let's be honest, the championship's on the line, but then the German manufacturers have got that a little bit extra, and the big bosses will be saying to you, okay, you know, we've got a lot of guests here this weekend. You're like, yeah, okay. But from the driver and the team's perspective, you can only do your best. You can only do 100%. So, and trust me, they all want to win. I was talking to some of the team members this morning, some of the mechanics and engineers walking in, and they're all just fully focused on doing their job. And it's interesting watching experienced people just saying, yep.
So how nicely are they going to play?
Oh, not at all.
This is the moment, it's elbows out. Or is that tomorrow? When,
a bit
when
today.
You really have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, there is still a little bit to lose today.
I mean, I think tomorrow is going to get quite tasty. I just think there's, as you say, Nicky, nothing to lose, everything to gain. If your engineer comes on the radio and says, you've got to pass this guy, you want the championship, you're going to pass this guy. And the championship's going to be so, in my opinion, so fluid until the last lap, you're going to have to get everything you can. But you can't overdo it, because you take the front wing off or smash the suspension off it or get a penalty, and it's all over.
At least this is a relatively wide track in Formula E terms, so hopefully we won't see as many incidents as we have seen in the past.
Do you really believe that?
Yeah, well, this is Formula E.
Yeah, exactly.
Who am I trying to kid?
And just like that, we've got 30 minutes of the session left. Over half the session's done.
Yeah, and actually it's really interesting, isn't it? Because the fact that normally in a typical Formula E race weekend, FP1 and FP2 are sort of, they happen on the Saturday morning before the race, but because of timings this weekend, it's been split across the Friday night and the Saturday morning. So I think it has allowed the teams to do a little bit more data analysis. I mean, there's only so much you can get out of practice, but there is a little bit more time, because it can be quite frenetic and hectic over the course of a one-day race format. So it just gives them a little bit more time to breathe over the course of the day.
You know, any driver that comes into Formula E, it's one of the things they say it's hardest to adjust to, is the one-day format. You don't get a chance to go back to the hotel at night normally, think about what's going on, you know, adjust, because that's most drivers throughout their career, that's what they've done. They've had 2- and 3-day events. These one-day shows, it really changes things for you. But as you say, the engineers will use every minute of time you give them between runs in the car.
Let's have a look, Jean.
Yeah, top of the time.
Nice, very nice. So 1 minute 6.714.
P1 missing
quickest of the session so far, Jean-Eric Verne.
The attack should stop straight away.
A double champion.
And he's 600.
Had a big moment in the T6. Please look at that, and the braking with rear locking.
He's talking to the engineers about that. He's basically saying, look, can you change something on the powertrain to stop me locking up at that point? Right now we've got a DS to Cheetah 1-2 with 600ths of a second between the two of them.
And we know how they dominated here last year. So, you know, Berlin really is a track that they know well, they're well suited to.
Sorry, just the Costa was getting a little bit in the way of Pascal Wehrlein. See Rennie Rast. Rast's got an odd style. Look how far back his head's tilted as he drives the car.
I said to Rennie Rast, I was like, so I know, you know, whenever I talk about you, I always say, you know, that you're doing your data analysis in between sessions. Anything else you get up to? It's like, no, just, you know, get out of the car, I'm at my laptop, someone comes to bring me lunch, and I go back to my laptop, and I'm just there the whole time. He said, I might not be able to improve my lap time, but at least I know where I'm going wrong.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for effort. So interesting. Some drivers analyse incredibly, some then start to over-analyse, and then some just want to get out and drive the car. Degrassi up to 4th, Rast 5th.
So Jean-Eric Verne, really interestingly, he's gone quickest in the session.
Yeah.
Or so far, anyway. Maybe a bit early to say that. He's 12th in the championship at the moment, 68 points. So, yes, he is in contention. But what has he got to happen today to guarantee him a top, that he's still in contention tomorrow?
Well, he's in Group 3.
Which is great.
Which is fantastic for him in qualifying. In Group 3, he's really had
I think he's Group 2.
He's 14th, Group 3. Yeah, Group 3. Lucas Degrassi, 14th in points.
Oh, I'm talking about Jean-Eric Verne.
All right, Verne was my pick for the championship. Sorry, yeah, he is in Group 2. As we see Alex Lynn on a lap. He's on a push lap. Yeah, Verne's got to get out of Group 2. He's got to get into Super Bowl. That will make his job a little bit easier in the race today. He's got to score a whole of points. The question is there going to be tactics? They don't want to get into Group 1 for tomorrow, or you just go for maximum points?
Surely it's got to use maximum points. You can't start thinking, I'm going to engineer it so that I'm 7th in the championship. Can you do that?
My boss, Chip Ganassi's got a saying is, don't get too cute. Don't get, you know, you get too cute, too smart, you end up shooting yourself in the foot. So as we see Alex Lynn coming to the line, where does this put it? Oh, 11. Not a great lap. Half a second off at the moment.
Alex Lynn, phenomenal performance in qualifying. I mean, he's been up there. I think he's been in Super Pole 7 times.
Yeah, he's the second. Pascal Wehrlein's got the best qualifying average. Alex Lynn is second. But today's job's a bit harder because he's in Group 1, but he has been phenomenal in qualifying, and the balance that the Mahindra car has had in qualifying, he's just clicked. we see Eero Mortara on screen in the Venturi coming to the line. Eero's starting his lap. That long, it's interesting to watch how much more stable the cars look through the entry to turn 1 than they did last year. You see them moving around a lot more. I think it shows how much they've developed the cars in a year. It's incredible just how things have moved on, the stability that they've been able to get in the car. Whoa, we got close to the wall in 5 though. Mortara's 10.5 down though already at this point as he goes through the first sector. Let's see. Look at this bump right in the middle of braking, right where you don't want it. You get that and it tends to lock the tyres a little bit, whether you're going for the attack mode on the outside of the corner or taking the normal line.
So Robin Prine's actually quickest at the moment. Let's see what time Mortara is going to come out with, although I don't think it's going to be...
Yeah, he was better through there, but he's still a 10.5 down, Nicky, which, yeah, that is sort of 4th, 5th position is where he's shooting for at the moment. Let's see how good he gets through that last sector. And he goes 5th. Nearly 2 tenths down. And Mitch Evans is on a lap. He's a 10th down so far.
Interesting what's happening with Jake Dennis at the moment. Currently P19, obviously he was quickest in the times in FP1.
Yeah, I would expect to see business pick up a bit here with a bunch of people going out and doing qualifying simulations in this last sort of 7 minutes. Probably 5 minutes to go, they'll all start to head out the track conditions as close as they can to what they're going to experience in qualifying.
Well, let's see what Mitch Evans can do here in FP2.
There he goes. 4th.
That's not best. Not bad.
The Jaguar guys have struggled here in the past at the Berlin track. I don't know if it's the surface or the nature of the long corners, but they've struggled. So they think they found the answer to where the performance has been missing here. So I guess we'll find out this afternoon.
Well, I had a quick chat with Sam Bird this morning on his way in, and yeah, he seemed in good spirits. So Andre Lotterer here, again, one of the drivers at Porsche looking first win this season.
He's 4.5 tenths down on this lap so far. So. Yeah, it's not going well. Andre's had a tough season, you know, very up and down. Finds himself 17th in the points. He still hasn't won his first race in Formula E. How is that possible? He's come so close, especially those years when the Techeetah team. 16th for Andre Lotterer.
I mean, he's had a really tough season, hasn't he? I mean, things are coming together in the last few races. Sort of points into New York. But other than that, he's had 1 podium, 2nd place finish. Right, let's take a look at this replay.
He's just out in the marbles. Look at the car bouncing around on the different blocks of concrete as he goes between them. The car's moving around a little bit. See the...
It looks like there's lots of movement. How does it feel from the car?
Well, you're trying to make it feel as nice as possible, but the big thing is to keep those tyres in contact with the ground as much as you possibly can, because that's when you get the grip from. As we see Da Costa's guys changing tyres. This is going to be, I would imagine, a qualifying simulation at full 250 kilowatts of power coming up. I hope
so
he's not just going out to...
this is the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, hopefully he's not just going out to scrub tyres.
So they really just keep their the new tyres for just doing their full power lap. Right, so we're on board now with Max Günther on a full power lap for BMW. He's put in one of the best performances in qualifying so far. He's in the pole 7 times, joint with Alex Lynn. Let's see what he can do in this lap.
See that first split from Max Günther? Nah, he's a 10th away already. Listen to the car bottoming. He eventually gets to the apex. Listen to him lift through this kink. You can hear the rubber hitting the tyre guards. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. It's one of the Venturis, I think, is going to get out of the way. No. Oh, that's not very nice. Oh, he's coming in the pits as well. Oof. I'm a bit upset with that. He's quickest of anybody of those through sector 2. And the car, look, they put the power down quite well. A couple of movements. Let's see what he says.
Keep pushing sector 1 on 250.
200th of a second behind Robin Freins, P2 for Max Günther.
So basically lost time in that first sector, great second sector, and a little bit of time lost in the third sector. Right, the Mercedes boys are up, Stoffel van Doorn and Nick de Vries.
You saw Stoffel catching big snaps of oversteer exiting the corner. We'll be talking to the engineers trying to get that fixed for qualifying. He goes third, 700s, we'll call it 6.8. 68 hundredths behind Robin Freins. It's madness. Here comes his teammate Nick de Vries to the top. 106.5.
So how long can he hold on to that top spot for? Jake Dennis, who was quickest in the session yesterday in FP1. Can he beat Nick de Vries with that 1 minute 6.547? He's gone quickest in sector 1.
Whoa, 3 tenths!
Wow. Wow.
I mean, in Formula
phenomenal.
E money, that's seconds. That is huge. Da Costa pushing hard through turn 7.
So you know we're doing those predictions.
Yeah.
Can I change mine to Jake Dennis?
Oh yeah, go on. Here, what's Da Costa?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
He's a 10th down already. I would still put him second at this point because Jake Dennis just did a fantastic job. He pushes for the line. Oh, 6th. Lost a lot of time in the last sector.
Did you see a mistake in the third sector?
Yeah, not really. No. We're on board with Mitch Evans. Watch his hands as they go back to the right too much. It was quite nice. Nice balance from the Jaguar out of the last corner on throttle. But only 8th. That wasn't actually his best lap.
So see if Jean-Eric Verne can improve on Antonio Felix da Costa's time. Personal best, but that only puts him 7th.
I think Verne was just stuck. Oh, he's probably kept it on full power through the first sector. Lucas de Grassi. He really wants to finish out with a big points weekend for Audi. And he goes second quickest.
Very nice. 1.5 tenths slower than Jake Dennis, but definitely closing the gap between him and de Vries.
See all the drivers going more to the left-hand side of the track as they come across. That's him trying to shortcut. As somebody does a big lock-up into one. That's him trying to shortcut the distance to the finish line. That's Edo Mortara, quickest of anybody through sector 2.
Then it gets tricky as well when so many cars on track doing their full power lap at the same time. You don't want to get stuck in traffic at this point.
Absolutely not. But remember again, Nikki, with the group qualifying, it's going to be very different track conditions for each group. Everybody right now is, all things are equal as far as track conditions.
This is your 13 principal, watching Edo Mortara's lap. Right, Nick Cassidy, rookie at Envision Virgin Racing. Let's see what he can do.
This is a point you're willing the car onto the finish line. Come on, you're sunken, pushing yourself down in the cockpit. Cassidy 17th.
Again, though, it's so close. Almost within a second of each other.
Yeah,
not quite as close as yesterday, but that's just because Jake Dennis has just gone one step further.
Yeah, but you've got to be closer than that, Nikki. You've got to. It is going to be so close on the slightest mistake, and you're going to be at the back of the grid. Oh, got rush hour here in turn 9. Everybody's trying to do their laps.
Okay, so we've now got Alex Lynn is on his as well.
Oliver Turvey up to 12th in the Neo.
Very nice.
Very good lap.
And he hasn't scored a point since, I think, back in Valencia.
Verline up to 5th in the Porsche.
Right. Alex Lynn, winner from the London E-Prix last time out. Let's see how he can do in FP2.
He's currently 3.5 tenths down on Jake Dennis's time. Let's see how it comes off the last corner. Yeah, not bad, using absolutely all the road, and then he'll pull into the run for the line. Let's see what it brings him. 18th. Lost a lot of time in that last sector.
I mean, that's one of the interesting things, Alex Lynn. I think he's one of the drivers that does really well in qualifying, but sometimes the race pace does drop back a little bit. We've seen that Mahindra car maybe not as quick as the likes of the, you know, the Mercedes and the DS Cheetahs.
It's one lap pace is good. I think it's maybe its efficiency sometimes is difficult. Its race pace is not, and when you qualify so well, it's difficult because then you tend to go backwards. But that man there, Jake Dennis, P1 again. I mean, that is stout from a rookie. He's 4th in the championship, and he's putting all the pressure on.
2 wins. He's had pole positions. He's signed for Andretti for next year, which is brilliant. They weren't going to let go of him.
No, absolutely. I walked in this morning with Roger Griffiths and JF Thorman, and great signing, guys. Absolutely. He's more than repaid the faith in them, and it's great to see Jake Dennis have this sort of opportunity to show what he can do.
And despite there is considerable pressure on him at this moment in the championship, he still has this very relaxed, can-do attitude, doesn't he? It's a great attitude to see in the Formula E paddock.
I asked him what his tactics were for this weekend, the championship and all that, and he said, well, full send. That was it. It was like, okay, yeah, cool.
Wouldn't be anything else,
yeah,
would it?
Exactly. Totally relaxed.
So practice starts going on at the moment on the starting grid. Be the second last time that we will have a start this season.
I think everybody's going to be investigating how late they can actually break into turn 1, because obviously the drivers on the left side of the circuit have got a shorter route to go into turn 1, but then they've got to brake on a tighter line. So I expect a lot of side-by-side action right about here, lap 1 today. And
overtaking opportunities at turn 1?
Tough one in turn 1, unless the car in front's in energy trouble, but turn 6, absolutely, turn 9, turn 10. So definitely lots of opportunity.
So you just really need to maintain your track position at the start of the race.
Well, you want to try and gain if you can, Nikki, just as you see Alex Lynn right about here. That's when it starts to go single file. So you've got to just fight your way to get any position that you possibly can at that point.
On board again with Nick Cassidy. So there we are, Jean-Eric Vergne walking back to the garage, Norman Nasso behind him. I mean, Jean-Eric Vergne, again, I was hoping that we would see more from the DS Cheetah guys here today, but it is early days. We can't discount them yet.
There's no points awarded for practice.
Exactly. Although it does help to be at the top of the rankings,
yes,
doesn't it? Right, so let's take a look at how this session finishes up. Here we are, Jake Dennis for BMW i Andretti Motorsport, quickest in this session. 1.5 tenths faster than the rest of the gang. 1 minute, 6 seconds, 0.228. Lucas de Grassi, Nick de Vries, Robin Freins, Pascal Wehrlein, Max Günther, Stoffel van Dorn, Antonio Felix Costa, Jean-Eric Vergne, Norman Nasso and Sergio Sette Camera make up the rest. Then we've got Oliver Turvey, who did a great job there in P13 at the moment. Mitch Evans, Jaguar Racing, 15. Not a position we would expect from him at this point in the championship. Alex Lynn there lost a bit of time in his fast full power lap, down in 18th. Andre Lotterer for Porsche in 21. Joel Eriksson for Dragon Penske Autosport down in 24th. I love that view of the track with the plane there. Just a little nod to the history here at Berlin Tempelhof. Jean-Eric Vergne there looking quite serious.
Yeah,
and understandably so.
Cards on the table. He was my outside pick for the championship.
Right.
I've just had a message from the team saying he's as focused as I've ever seen him.
Jean-Eric Vergne is?
Yeah. Helpful.
Okay, right.
Helpful.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, the drama that we had last time we were here in Berlin between him and his teammate Antonio Felix da Costa, it was explosive.
And it continued for the Saudi Arabia race 1 this season, didn't it? Race 1 and 2.
So Nick de Vries there, getting out of his car. our championship leader at the moment. 6 points ahead of the rest, but the big question is, what can he do from Group 1 in qualifying? Now, he did it before. He managed to finish in P2 in London when he qualified in Group 1, but can he do the same thing again today?
I mean, clearly that's the goal. It's, I think this afternoon we're going to see more of an energy race, Nikki. So you have to manage your energy a lot, but also the tyre wear. And those are two key things that will play into a more traditional, I would say, Formula E race.
And that is the man of the moment. Andretti Motorsport very happy with next year's signing, Jake Dennis. Right, let's take a look at which drivers are getting your fan boost at the moment. Nick De Vries there, giving us a thumbs up. Also, René Rast looking for your vote. But at the moment, it's Antonio Felix da Costa, the reigning champion for DS Achita, with 24% of your votes. Mitch Evans in second, Nick De Vries in third, Stoffel Van Dorn in fourth, and Alex Lynn in fifth. Now, it really does make a difference during the course of the race. Do get involved. Vote online at FIAFormulaE.com/fan boost. Remember, you've got one vote per day. Vote today and vote tomorrow. It could help them be crowned world champion. Right, so let's take a look back at what happened in this morning's FP2 session as the cars went out on track. The sun was shining, setting in the background. Beautiful track here at Tempelhof Airport. Oh, it was Robin Freins that hit the barriers first.
Bit of a snap from Alex Lynn as he comes through. Mitch Evans found rush hour towards the end of the lap, trying to clear lap. You see his hands moving on the regen paddle. These guys, I wonder if they're practicing for this afternoon with a bit of a slipstreaming, which will definitely help. You see the driver's eye view for big catch from René Rast on the throttle. Actually, I'm sorry, that was Lucas de Grassi. Oliver Rowland and the Nissan looking down.
Is that a new helmet? That's rather good.
Quite possibly, yeah. Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche. Decent session. DS Achita's got to be happy with their performance. Saying that, bit of a miss of the apex at that point.
There's Bill Baggill, team principal of Mahindra Racing. So this is when the drivers came in for their tyre change before they went out for the full power lap.
He was going scuba diving, wasn't he? Wow, big lockup.
Safety kit.
From the Venturi. Look at Jake Dennis, how wide a line he takes into turn one. Oh, and he got a bit of traffic on the lap.
Phenomenal lap from Jake Dennis. Everything seems to be coming together for the BMW I Andretti driver. Looking as relaxed as he always is. Thumbs up there to the camera. Now it's time to put in the final preparation before the grand finale. The double header, the last two races of season 7 will be taking place here in Berlin. Could it be Antonio Felix da Costa defending his champion? Well, there are 18 drivers still in contention. Join us at 2 o'clock as racing gets underway here in Berlin.